The global pressure. Oh! The Pyke!
And that goes all the way back to the DRX Keria days. This man loves his Pyke.
I think we've all been waiting for Pyke to be back in pro play. And who better to bring him back than Keria, arguably the greatest support player in the world. The hype could not be more real when he hovered Pyke. So let's take a look at how the best support in the world plays the best support champion. I won't try to explain these pro play shenanigans, as I don't watch too much pro play and this is just a bunch of chaos to me. But he hooks the enemy blue buff to delay Tian's clear. But the laning starts at level 2 with a beautiful pick on Jackie Love. Sadly, Keria misses his E because of the scuffed angle. He couldn't afford to E in entirely, as Kai'Sa would just flash or cleanse, and being that deep in, he would either die or burn flash and lose way too much HP. The enemy is reset, therefore they shove the wave as quickly as they can to get the most amount of tempo, and walk towards mid while considering if they can make a play there, or if they should reset. They quickly realize that they should reset, as it isn't worth risking losing the next wave for the slight possibility of a kill mid. He could have gone bot here, but he knows that there's nothing to do bot, as a pro AD carry would rarely allow himself to get caught in a 1v2, meaning that Pyke would just be standing bot looking stupid while Kai'Sa hid under the tower. Therefore, Keria instead moves towards mid, where he knows that Maiko also will be headed. It is extremely important that Keria responds to this play, otherwise it could have had a terrible impact on his team. He gets off a scary hook on Maiko using the Fog of War, ease in to intimidate Maiko as he doesn't know where Poppy is and must respect the possibility that Poppy can be there too. But he quickly realizes that he is in too deep and has to flash out to not get caught. Since he didn't lose any HP and have control over the entire river, he can look for something top with the jungler. They see a possible dive angle with the wave crash, but sadly the enemy jungler and support are there to block off the dive. Knowing that it's a 3v3, with the amount of CC and HP they have, they recognize that it is just too inconsistent of a dive and decide to back off. Now Keria knows that Leona and Xin are probably recalling in the top lane, which means Xayah is safe in the 1v1 bot. And I want you to notice how Keria skips the reset timer and looks towards mid instead. By doing this, he manages to catch the Sylas off guard. The moment Sylas wasted his E, he lost his only escape, not counting flash. And Keria abuses this with Faker, punishing him when he goes for the minions. They play it with perfect synergy, CC locking him, so that Sylas has no opportunity to flash out before he is dead. An absolutely astonishing play by T1. After the play, he begins resetting before noticing that Galio needs help crashing the wave so that he too can reset. From the reset, Keria is instantly back on the map to help his team. Sadly, there's not much that can be done, as TES has taken full control of the objective and are zoning them out really well. They're looking for picks mid, fail, then proceed to look for a catch in the jungle. But sadly, Galio and Poppy get spotted, ruining the sneaky catch, forcing them to back off. But what happens after is very interesting. He is pathing towards spot, gets spotted by Leona and decides to look mid instead. He stays as near as he can in the Fog of War and waits for the perfect moment to go in. Sylas has again wasted his E, so when he inevitably walks up for minions without it, Keria punishes him. This results in a great chunk on Sylas, completely ruining any prio that he might have had, especially considering how his TP is on cooldown. With the prio they have gained, Keria decides to stay and force a plate with his Demolish. He also pokes the Silas down a little more, but knows that the dive is not consistent here, and he can easily trade this amount of HP because he knows that he will be resetting anyways. Keria is again going straight top rather than bot, as supports in pro play apparently do not play for the bot lane at all, and the farming simulator must be so darn boring for these AD carries. Poppy cancels the recall in preparation for what's to come, which is crucial, and Keria is pathing straight top, which is also very important. There's sadly not much he can do in this teamfight until he gets off a nasty hook over the wall on Tian, forcing his flash. And despite it not being Keria doing it, I have to applaud this play, because holy shit was it perfect. Look at the Gnar go. After the fight, we do a little bit of bronze chasing and then abuse the reset timer to get a plate. They then reset to spend their gold and get full HP and mana in preparation for the grubs. They run straight for the objective, get control over the area, and I want you to notice Keria's position. This is something that I've talked about before, how you should very often guard the entrance to the objective. He moves straight towards bot to potentially dive the Silas if he goes for the wave, and with the threat of Pyke there, he's zoned off of the wave for a short period of time, giving SKT more plates. With the Pyke, you'll notice how Keria skips almost every reset timer to be on the map. This is one of the few times where he doesn't do that because his entire team is about to reset except for Xayah, who wants to farm safely alone. Because of them prioritizing topside and having to reset, they lose prio for the dragon, and there's not anything they can do about it. Forcing a fight here would not benefit them whatsoever. They have to back off, but not without Keria and Gumayusi harassing their Leona a little first. Keria proceeds to move bot, making a siege mid and bot at the same time, forcing the enemies to respond in 2 places instead of 1, while Ken is forced to deal with Gnar, making it 3 places instead of 2. He recognizes that he is not needed to finish off the tower and wants to be as quickly back on the map as possible, and therefore starts recalling earlier. This is also something you can try to implement in your games. The plan for SKT right now is for Galio to reset and to gain prio in mid and top, and play for the Herald. That's why Keria is instantly moving up topside to assist his team there. He again abuses the Fog of War to its fullest extent and manages to get a nice catch on 369, resulting in a free dive. The plan quickly shifted, as they gave away the control over the objective for the top turret. He still looks for an angle, which they can afford with their 5k gold lead, and Keria gets off a beautiful flash hook on the Silas, but sadly that's all they can get. They know exactly where the enemy team can be, therefore it is safe to take control of parts of the jungle and to push the mid lane, resulting in another glorious hook from Keria with a very unlucky Galio W and Pyke, but they still get Jackie Love's cleanse and chunk him down a lot, forcing him to reset. But Keria is a freaking menace and scares him into cancelling his recall. He moves towards his team, gets there just too late, can't get in with his team, forced to run around, and in the end, sadly cannot help the Poppy in time. But he's not done. He catches the Xin, sadly his E misses, and they lose Gnar for it. With all of these low target enemies, Keria is smelling blood, and he's thirsty as fuck for some executes. But then realizes that they have all left Jackie Love by himself, gets off a nasty hook, forcing Kai'Sa's flash. Keria proceeds to do an E-ult combo, pins her down for the Xayah, and collects the free kill. Keria, my goat. Don't worry, I didn't see that. Keria takes a flank position in case something would happen, Sadly, there's no angle and he just needs to get out. After resetting, he runs straight into the jungle to place deep vision for his team. And then he fights the vision war that we all know, allowing zero vision to be had by TES with the Umbral, taking a psychotic position in the jungle, barely getting out. Once again, running straight from base to the jungle to set up vision and gain control over the jungle. And for those who have been coached by me recently, probably sees somewhat of a bridge going on here. Keria going very deep here, which could have been good, but he gets caught alone and sadly the Leona followed him and he gets his first death of the game. Luckily TS don't catch anyone else and can't really get anything else off of this. The moment he is back on the map, he starts placing out his vision, instantly resetting for new wards and then moving towards the dragon with his team. TES have full control over the area though, so they have to find good angles here. They sadly lose the dragon and TES escapes. They did get a pick on Ken though. The enemy jungler lost his flash and smite, ults were wasted and they tried to use this to fake a Baron, not knowing that they have a Farsight on it, ruining the entire play. But once the Farsight is gone, TES have no vision anymore and have to respect the possibility that they might be doing Baron. They get a nice catch on Maiko and Keria is allowed to execute him, putting him in a terrible position, but he uses his ult beautifully on Sylas to get out safely. He gets an insanely clutch hook off on Kai'Sa, resulting in her death. Tries catching the Xin too, but the hook is just barely too short. They don't have the members or HP to get anything after the fight, so they instead reset, regroup and set up the Baron. Look at all the vision that Keria has set up, not going to let TES get near the objective without casualties. A good hook on Sylas could have been a pick, but sadly the Galio W didn't connect. They are just permanently playing in the fog of war that they created, looking for picks. And the only reason TS know that they haven't started the Baron is because of the Scuffle Crab. Keria is holding an aggressive position while TS now sees that T1 is starting the Baron. Again, positioned in a way to stall the enemies from getting to the objective, poking them and then backing off. The fact that they all get out alive with Baron is huge here. It doesn't even matter that no enemies died. He goes mid to get the wave pushed, forcing an enemy to show themselves on the wave mid, making it a little safer to take control of the jungle, setting up the dragon. Keria does some sketchy shit, using his demolish to take the tower, losing a lot of HP for it, forcing him to reset. He sadly can't save the Poppy in time, and while a player is down, they really don't want any fights, as there is no reason to flip a 3v or 4v5 when they are in the lead. Guma is actually getting the dragon for free though, as TES is desperately trying to get picks on anyone while it's a 5v4. Keria sets up some vision, resets and groups with his team mid to siege the turret. Keria doing what any of us would, looking for hook angles, but sadly finds none. They see that TES is trying to siege bot lane, so they respond with cross-mapping and sieging top. Pyke is very squishy this late in the game, can't afford to risk anything and has to E out. But they do get the tower regardless, and Keria just has to get out as quickly as possible, especially without his Edge of Night active. He uses W to spot potential enemies or controllers in the bush, gets spotted by a control ward and has to walk away as he can't risk getting caught. He helps Guma push the wave, although with the QE plus the static it isn't really necessary. Again, they want to reset, but before they do, they clear all vision and place out their wards. They see a lot of people mid, which tells them that they won't be 5-man ambushed in the enemy jungle. They're making sure the wave is always pushed into the enemies, taking control of the lane, and from that, the jungle, by clearing vision and placing vision themselves. You can just see how dark the map is for TES, how scary that must be. TES is desperately fighting to get some vision in their own jungle for the Baron. After faking multiple Barons in the series, T1 decides to just take it instantly. The 3 people guarding the entrance enforces the beliefs that they are indeed faking it, until the Farsight finally discovers that they are on it. But by then it's simply too late. They can't get to the pit in time because they're getting zoned out. They know that if they overcommit for the Baron still, SKT will turn and slaughter them. Keria gets a hook on Maiko, forcing him to flash out. Sadly, there's not more that can be done and they have to back off with Faker being dead. The Baron was worth it, but TES have some time to play while Faker is down. Keria has again taken an aggressive flank position in hopes of TES overstaying their welcome in the mid, starting a fight, Galio ulting in and Pyke coming from behind, closing it all with one last fight. Sadly, they back off for the dragon, spots Keria and he has to dip out. T1 can't win a 4v5, so the dragon is a lost cause. They should have instead taken push mid with a Baron buff, then moving top to push there as well. With the wave coming late here, T1 has no shot at pushing the tower before TES has reassembled in the mid and are therefore forced to reset. Once again, Keria runs straight into the enemy jungle, places out deep vision for his team. A lot of the things you see in pro play are not doable or worth doing in solo queue, but this is definitely something you could try to implement into your games. His entire team is off the map, so he gets a free reset to get a new set of wards. Now, take a look at the map and see the potential rewards from this. Keria is already back with his team, and they get a shit ton of info from bot side that they can use to make decisions with. His wards have been cleared, but now it is time to set up vision around his team anyways. Both to protect them, but also to get potential picks. He takes the ground with the control ward and holds it with the threat of his Q. But he can't really hold it that long by himself. Again, he uses the Fogel ward to look for a pick, sadly missing the hook, but his team got his back and wins the fight. While Keria gets off some cool, but useless, executes for some extra gold and style points. As 5v2, they can just brute force their way through the base. And it's GG. Let's all pray for the World's Pyke or SKT Pyke. Let's all fucking pray. Thanks for watching. It was an honor to review one of the greatest on my beloved main. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments or to DM me through the Discord server. Also, this is very important, so hear me out. Just because the best support in the world could play away from bot the entire game, it does not mean that you should do that in solo queue. He is playing on a full pre-made team who have practiced with coaches, learned strategies, and the macro of a pro game is not remotely similar to the macro of a solo queue game. You cannot use this as an excuse to leave your AD carries. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Have a nice day. Bye bye.